I wanted it to be a small call anyway, so this is good. That's why I didn't, blast it like Chris did his class later, because I want to actually be able to like help some people and stuff like that. So, what are some of the things you guys would like to learn more about that isn't called DocuSign? Facebook ads, landing pages, all that type of stuff. What are you thinking?
So I came for smart plans.
Let's do it. Smart Plan City. Joe, Smart Plan's good for you, buddy?
I need to learn everything with Command, so just anything's good.
Great. So let me share my screen, and then I'll walk through a couple of the ones I've done and some like best practices I found, because I've been like kind of changing them up and stuff like that. Hold on one second here. This one. Cool. So I already did my tasks. So let's talk. There's a couple different things with smart plans. Oh, I'm on a different computer, and I also might have to relog in real quick. Yeah, I have to relog in real quick. Sorry. You guys can steal my password if you like.
Sounds good.
There we go. Once that loads up. So there's a couple different things. There's a couple different things on the smart plans that are pretty important. Dom, have you guys got into the Twilio stuff yet?
No, I've been slacking.
Okay.
I mean, I know about it. Like, I've been to multiple classes where they're like Twilio. I just haven't implemented it yet.
Yep.
But so pretty much as of right now, we're still using Follow Up Boss as our CRM.
Yep.
I guess until everyone's like ready, because no one is using Command on my team yet besides me.
Right.
And everyone's we've had Follow Up Boss for like 2 years at this point, and everyone kind of just started to use Follow Up Boss the way that it's supposed to be used, maybe like 6 months ago. So we're going to use that for the time being until everybody's completely comfortable with Command. So basically, I already have plans set up in there for like Drip, which I'm trying to transfer over into Command for when people come in through our ads that we send out, like through Facebook, like with the paid social posts and all that stuff. But also on top of that, now with the virtual open houses, I never really did open house legwork before. It was kind of just like I set them up and arranged it, and then that was that. And then it was like in the agent's hands, like whoever hosted it. But now that they're virtual, it's kind of going to be my responsibility to, I guess, set up like automatic follow-up via smart plans for open houses. So those are our two main things: the Facebook ads for leads that come in, and also open house follow-up.
Okay, cool. So, well, I'll go through both of those things once I can figure out how to log into my account here. Sorry, hold on one second. It's telling me my password's not right, which is always fun because I never change my password ever. So here, do you have your console, your Command up? It might be even easier just to show you exactly how to do it in yours.
Yeah.
That way you can just do it. Everybody else can learn.
All right. You want me to share my screen?
Yeah, if you could.
Okay.
You don't get sunburn. If you get sunburn, you won't get sunburn. But if you tan, you won't miss it.
Are you also locked out here?
Yeah.
Interesting. I wonder if they're doing an update, which happens at times. Hang on one second.
And I was just in, so
Yeah, so
I
was
know
I.
that this isn't wrong.
Okay, so it looks like they're probably doing an update in the system right now, which is impacting our ability to log in. Because I was just in on my other computer. So you can unshare. We'll just talk best practices on that.
Okay.
So if you go in and you go to smart plans, right now there's no auto trigger.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's a couple different ways. Like I did a Facebook ad for a like career night type of thing last week, which is similar to an open house type of thing where it's an event awareness ad. And I ended up having like 14, 15 people on there, and these were all people that were about to get their license or going through the mental process of getting in there. The couple big things when you're in there, you're able to, when you create the Facebook ad, because I think the Facebook ad comes first and then we can talk smart plans.
Mm-hmm.
So for virtual open houses, there's two different ways you can do the Facebook ad. One is, and this is good info for you, Joe, and Billy, because I know, Billy on the listing side, Joe, you're going to be doing the open houses a ton, I'm sure. So a couple big things on that. You want to try and target as best you can. And the way that I did it, because I didn't get a ton of impressions, but what ended up happening was I got a good amount of leads from those impressions.
Mm-hmm.
Like from people that actually saw it to people that signed up, it was like almost a 12 or 13% capture rate, which is obviously a lot more than normal. The nice thing about that is I went through and actually like hand-picked all the different I guess targets or interests if in that platform. So for me, I was trying to get people that were interested in a career change or interested in getting into real estate, things like that. So I obviously chose things that made sense for that: real estate school, stuff like that, marketing, business professionals. But what you can do, and what I've seen people doing, what you're able to do is you can select like Trulia or Zillow or Realtor.com, or the realtor-based things. Plus, you can also select like new construction and stuff like that. What's nice about that is it at least targets a little bit, because Facebook, all social media platforms had to change their targeting guidelines. So once they changed that, you couldn't be like, hey, I want to see everyone that drives a red pickup truck in Philadelphia County that's also a doctor. Like you used to be able to get like super duper specific on it. But what I was able to figure out is if you just select a few of these key interests, it's going to significantly narrow your target audience. The other thing is, when you're doing open houses, are you typically doing them in the city, or do you have like some suburban deals too?
All of mine are in the city.
Okay, cool. So you're able to put the radius that your ad gets targeted to,
Mm-hmm.
and I think the lowest you're able to go is 15 miles. What's nice about that is you get those, suburban markets that might not want to actually drive into the city to go to an open house, but they
Mm-hmm.
still want to check out that condo available in the city, or the property available in, Graduate Hospital or wherever. But being able to target that way is huge. Once you target and actually like plan out the ad, the next step obviously is using some type of graphic, because you want to catch people's attention. So there's a testing platform within the Facebook ads where you can actually test and make sure that your ad doesn't have too much going on in the graphic. Like text and stuff like that, because the ad will actually go to less people the more busy it is. So like that's something to keep in mind. Like, you don't want like the craziest ad. Obviously, for an open house, you're going to want to do the listing, and it does pull right from the MLS and KWLS. So you're able to just pop the listing pictures in. It pulls up the first picture by default. So usually of the outside of the house or whatever, but you can scroll through and pick whatever pictures you like. There's a couple key things to the open houses and just creating the ads in general. You're going to want to put the price of the open house or of the property in the headline. So the headline is going to be the biggest bold letters on the screen. And what they found by running just like side-by-side ads, the same exact one, same exact target, same exact everything, what they found by running them side-by-side was that the ones that had the price in it did substantially, like 3-4x better than the ones that didn't. And the reason for that, because you can't discriminate or target by demographics in on social media, on Facebook or on Instagram when you're doing ads. But what you can do is you can qualify or disqualify people based on the price, right? So people that are engaged and can afford that price will be more inclined to engage with or go to the open house. If you get people who, let's say it's a $700,000 listing, you're going to get people who, if you don't have the price or any type of notification in there of what it costs, you're going to get people who can't afford it to come to the open house, right? Which is fine, because then you get another lead to add to your database, but it's not like super helpful for that open house. It's not going to help you get the house sold. But if you have the price in it, you're going to almost like pre-qualify people to be able to, check out and make sure like that is something they can afford. It's something that's worth their time, and you'll be more, you'll have a higher likelihood of getting like proper email addresses and phone numbers. Hey, Karen. You'll have a proper, you'll have a better chance of getting the proper information. So then when you actually go to create your smart plans, you can actually do something with them. Because one thing that happens a lot with leads, like internet leads of any kind, is you get a lot of nonsense, you get a lot of nonsense leads, for lack of better terms, which you don't want to waste too much of your time. Now with the smart plans, you're really not wasting a ton of your time just because of the nature of the beast, like you're just sending them out. But the other thing is for open houses, there's two ways you can get the actual info. Way number one is a Facebook lead gen form, which automatically you can click when you're going through the ad and it'll just populate up. But the other option is sending them to an Eventbrite where they can sign up. That's really like on you guys, on what you want to do, because people have different mindsets on that, to be honest with you. Like, I prefer to have it set up to where people, when they put in their email address and phone number, like they get they actually get like right into your command platform. So Dom, are you managing, you guys are set up as a team, right?
Yeah.
In there, so you can see everybody's stuff
Mm-hmm.
and you can route the leads. So are you managing, when you are going to do, like, are you going to be doing an open house for like Devin, or is it all going to be like Deidre?
So as
main
of
account.
right now, this was only like our second weekend doing the virtual open houses.
Yep.
So it's just Deidre's listings. So she's kind of just been like doing them herself. Now, in the future, especially if we don't hit green when it was intended to,
Right.
I'm not sure if she'll then have people cover for her or not. So I'm not 100% sure what's happening with that.
Okay. The only reason I ask is when you're logged in, let's say I would suggest, and it goes the same for like Karen, because you're team organization too. I would suggest whenever you do them, you set them up as the Rainmakers account,
Mm-hmm.
right? So what happens is if you set the open house up as a Rainmakers account,
Mm-hmm.
you'll have a better you'll be able to track it, because you don't want to necessarily set it up as the team's account, because then they're going to be the ones that gets the notification in the email and everything, and Kelly notification that the lead came in, that somebody signed up or wants more information or anything like that. And if they happen to miss that email, that's an opportunity that could be lost.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you track conversion rates, any internet lead, so Zillow lead or any kind of lead, it's really like a 5-minute time frame. Where if you don't respond to that in 5 minutes or less, especially internet lead specific, you can potentially lose that opportunity. So it might be a better idea to set everything up, no matter who's hosting it, under the Rainmakers account.
Yeah.
That way, do you have Kelly downloaded on your phone?
I don't. Deidre does.
I would suggest that any admin has at least Kelly download it and the Rainmakers login information. And you don't have to do a ton with it. And obviously Joe and Billy, you should download the app because you should have it. But every time you get a lead, it just pings, you have notifications on it. It just pings your phone. So you can then go in and, do whatever you want with the lead. The other thing is, even if you're on the fly, or like the Rainmakers on the fly or whoever, you can log into the full command dashboard on your phone. You just type it into your web browser on your phone,
Mm-hmm.
and then just log in that way. That's how I do stuff mobilely. You can even do like lead routing from there, right? So when you're set up as the Rainmaker account or the admin account for the Rainmaker, you're able to route the leads. So if you know that someone is, coming in, that Devin or Angel hosted an open house or is hosting an open house, and a lead comes in on that, you can route that to that person right within the command platform, and they'll get a notification and an email that it was routed. The reason I would say, the Rainmaker account is the key for all of this is just that, I feel like that in most cases, there's going to be more than one set of eyes on that account as the team that has admin staff. You also have the Rainmaker's eyes on the account too. So there's a higher likelihood that the lead's actually going to be seen, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then what you can do is once you see it, you can then put them right onto, you'll get the notification, you'll click their name, and you can put them right onto a smart plan. And if I was able to log in, which I'm going to try again. Okay, it's still not letting me. There is an open house smart plan in everybody's command console. There's
Yeah, I went through it.
It's okay. It's pretty generic. I recommend creating your own.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where Twilio is huge, because it'll just do the auto text feature. So you can have it set up to where when someone goes onto a smart plan, they automatically get the text and they automatically get the email. So what I've been doing and messing around with is which has a better probability of actually getting a response. I like the text because I think people have their hands on their phone more, and you don't always know if they put in like their work email. You don't know if they put in like their personal email, their college email, like whatever it is. So I like to text better. When you sign up for Twilio, I also heavily recommend getting a local number. So once you sign up and you connect through Twilio, right, you can actually do it right on like the connections in your settings. So when you do that, once you're in Twilio, you can connect. You can sign up for a local number. It's like $1 a month or something, like super, cost effective. But you can get a 215 or a 267 or whatever number you want. The return rate on that is so much higher than it, because I think it gets you like a generic, I think it's Austin, Texas phone number, and like that, people are less inclined to answer when they don't recognize the number, or if it's an out-of-state number. Anytime somebody texts back, it's going to go onto your Kelly app, and you'll get a notification as well. So definitely get a local number is what I'm getting at, for sure. Once you get the local number, some people are doing, and it's really important when you're doing the ads to name the ads like the address or something like that, because then you can search, the leads will go to what ad it comes from. So then you can immediately send them, you can autofill on the text and the emails, first names, last names, all that type of information. So you can easily just send them the link to that open house, or easily send them the link to, like, what I would do and what I've been messing around with some other agents is, it's an open house opportunity, right? It's an open house Facebook thing, virtual open house. You get the lead incoming. Instead of then like texting or emailing them about like, hey, thanks for registering, whatever. If you send them back a pretty much canned notification that like, hey, here's the link, here's the Zoom link, thanks for registering, right away, or at least pretty quickly after they sign up, it's just as if they, signed up for anything. Because we're at the point now with our tech, just in general as a society, where like you sign up for something and you then get a notification that you signed up for something. So you're almost gonna, like, in your open house smart plan, specifically for virtual open houses, that should be your first step. Your first activity should be a confirmation text and a confirmation email for the open house Zoom link. Are you guys doing Zoom?
Yeah, but I do everything through Eventbrite. So like I set it up in Eventbrite. The link to register is Eventbrite. I have questions to register on Eventbrite, and when I advertise it, I direct them to the link on Eventbrite to sign up, so that I could track like who comes, who doesn't, who signed up, if they have an agent, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm. So,
and Eventbrite also like sends them a confirmation email, and then I have emails set up to go out like the day before, 10 minutes before, just like, hey, reminder, you signed up for this. In case you missed the link to the Zoom, here you go.
Yep. So, what could be the only thing with doing the Eventbrite is good because it does track everything, but it creates an extra step for you to then get that information to the command platform. So, what I'm thinking might be an interesting idea is, I wonder if are you familiar with PieSync? Have you messed around with that at all? So they might even have the capability to link your Eventbrite right up to command via PieSync. Because I know there's a lot of different third-party platforms that aren't like immediate integrations, but that's worth looking into, because then it saves you a step. Like somebody logs in, signs up, they have to get in, they have to give legit information, right? They actually have to like give an email address or give their phone number. So then when they get in, if PieSync is activated, it should talk right back to command and say like, hey, here's a new person.
Okay, I'll check it out.
But that could save you a step of now getting the, you know, the other thing is, and this is just, I don't know, I don't use Eventbrite enough to know this, so you can tell me, can you export a list of attendees?
Yeah.
Or you could just do it that way.
Mm-hmm.
You can just export the list right over to, right over to command. You can do that too. But any step you can take to make it even easier than having to export and import is easier. So I would check out the PySync thing first. But again, it all gets back to how do you get the person in command to then do the one thing that you could do too is for teams, I think it would be up to you how you when you do the ads to get people to go into the open houses, or you do the lead generation ads on just listings, or trying to attract buyers or whatever that is. If you're doing them all through the Rainmakers account, which is I think the way to do it, when you reply to the lead, Karen, have you been doing like smart plans, like sending them out at all yet?
Yeah, absolutely. Probably the smart plans that we use the most are the My Quarterly call plan. And I just, as soon as somebody's in there, I figure even if they're like a referral partner or, somebody, I just add them to that plan, as well as the biweekly neighborhood nurture. The biweekly neighborhood nurture, I try to get everybody on that, because unless it's like agents or people who don't really need it. The texting plans, we haven't really automated, like we don't use Twilio yet. I think that it's definitely a good technology. We just, we want to advance, we want to advance our marketing spend as we advance as a team. But I think that the biweekly neighborhood nurture is great because it's automatically created from information in the marketing profile.
Yep.
Yeah, and eventually, my hope is that, the command embedded videos.
Yeah.
My hope is that they actually replace these neighborhood nurtures with videos for those neighborhoods, like just embed the videos into the emails. We haven't figured out how to, like, it doesn't look like there's a way to do that directly yet. Like, it seems like the design, like, there's not a connection between making automated videos for the smart plan or automated emails for the smart plans. And correct me if I'm wrong too, they might have updated this, but connecting the smart plan automated emails to a email design platform doesn't really look like it's happened yet.
I know it's, I saw on one of the pages that's coming, I think
Cool.
over the next couple weeks. It could even be one of the things they're updating right now.
That would be sick.
So I know that's coming. I know the next big like smart plan related thing is newsletters. So like actual like good integrated newsletters, because right now the newsletters that are in command are like super difficult to put together. Like the specific newsletter, like the other designs is easy and everything else is easy to do, but the actual newsletter is tricky. We use S'more.
We use the MailChimp interface because it's easier, and it has embedded, I think in the command emails, you can't embed a video yet. Hopefully they do that.
You can embed certain videos, certain like types of videos, just not everything. One thing that I was trying to figure out last week with someone was getting Matterport video into command.
Oh, nice. That would be sick.
And I think I might have figured out a workaround to it, because Matterport is one of those platforms where they really they store and they save the video onto their like Matterport's website. So like even if you put the Matterport video online or on your web page or on whatever on your Facebook, it always directs you back to the Matterport website.
Right.
So what I think I figured out is you can upload the Matterport, because you can't embed the video because, again, the Matterport website thing. So what I think I figured, and if anyone has figured this out, then please tell me. But I think what I figured out is if you can get Matterport, the video, onto YouTube video, whether that's a screen share or a screen grab or whatever that is, or you can get just a link to the Matterport website, like get that, just a link, don't embed it, just put the link in. That's going to be a big thing to send out. I think, obviously as time goes on, especially if we go backwards, which it kind of, it might look like we probably are going backwards from a COVID-19 perspective, because a lot of cases spiking now.
Yeah.
And they're pushing off the green phase, and hopefully we don't go back, like legit backwards. But video content and anything you can do is going to be huge. That's selling homes right now, right? Because people aren't going to open houses, people aren't going to, a lot. But being able to get that Matterport videos in there is good. I think it's just a link, or if you can upload that video to your YouTube channel, just put your YouTube link in there. But that can all be like a smart plan. Like you can text out, hey, and this goes back to like what we were talking about, Dom. Somebody logs in to a virtual open house. Instead of hoping that they actually sign up and go on the virtual house on the day they're supposed to go on, what if you just sent them the Matterport link? Or, hey, before the open house, here is, here's our latest great video of that property. Or something like that. You can put that right into the text platform or the email platform, right as a link. I've been doing it with YouTube stuff, like some of our trainings and stuff like that, or like a top 20% event, or something along that. They get, whenever I embed a link, it seems to get like a pretty good response. They actually respond instead of just like sending out words. So I think that's a good way to go. So I guess the best way to do this is probably like YouTube links, but you can, I'm sure you can do a Matterport link if you wanted to. But that could be the first text you get somebody. So I know Eventbrite gives like the notification, or says, hey, you signed up, thanks. But then you could take it a step further and say, hey, thanks for signing up. Here is, if something comes up and you can't make it, here's the video. And then you can treat that person just as if they went to the open house, because at least now they have the content. So then if it's on a Sunday or a Saturday, on Monday you can do a follow-up of everyone that, because you can search by lead in command, like when you go to your contacts, if you just type show leads only and you click that, it'll show all the leads and where they came from. So then you can just, if you have 4 open houses, it should show which spot they came from, which Facebook ad or which lead opportunity, and then you can just specifically target all of them. But you don't want to go too crazy with the open house plans, just because every open house response is going to be the same. So maybe the initial one is, hey, thanks for signing up for 123 Main Street. Here's our great video in case you can't make the open house. Then bam, they get the video. And then after the fact, it's just the same generic open house follow-up, for everybody.
So now, do you think that receiving that video beforehand would like defer them from actually coming? Do you think that's something that should go out like after?
So there's 2 different things you could do. I think it could defer some people from coming, but it could qualify really good potential opportunities, right? And play around with it and see what works. But a lot of people just sign up for stuff with no intention of actually doing something. So the people that really did intend to go to the open house, the virtual open house, they're going to log on, whether they already have a video or not. So that could be a good, a good route to take on that. The other thing with that is, if they want questions asked or anything like that, or to see a specific bedroom or see a specific anything, then they're going to sign on to the open house. You know, so that's another route to take. But again, I would just play with it, see what works, see what doesn't. There's a lot of trial and error with this stuff to
Yeah.
see which smart plans make the most sense. If you go on to, I'm trying to remember who had the good one.
Hey, Brandon. Hey,
Billy.
hey, boss. I got to jump on an appointment. Thank you for everything, and I'll be in touch. Okay.
You got it. All right, man. Talk to you soon.
Thanks a lot. And this command thing, has this thing happened before with the password not working?
It happens every once in a while when they're doing a big update.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. All right.
You got it. See ya.
Bye.
And on the flip side, they're usually pretty quick to correct that issue too. But what you could do is, I like the idea of maybe you send the generic video with the initial text or the initial email, and then because you can record everything on Zoom, so then you record the open house on Zoom, and then you can send them the Zoom video on Monday. Because there'll be interaction there, right? Like, for all intents and purposes, no one ever really needs to go to an open house if they, have no need to go to an open house. Like, they can, with as much content and videography and photography is out there right now, if they're not interested, then, they don't, why would they go anyway? Because they can get whatever they need to get. So I don't think it'll discourage anyone additional from, attending the virtual open. But the biggest thing with the smart plans is just being super, super, super consistent with them.
Mhm.
And if you're going to do them, especially if you're going to do like out of Twilio or out of the Rainmakers account, and now Jen's on here, so with Laura, and you guys are all team related people. I don't know if you'll want to do like, hi, this is Deidre Quinn, or hey, this is Ernest. Thank you for signing up. You might want to do a team play. That way, the person receiving the text or receiving the email knows that that a team is reaching out for them, and anybody that's on that team can reach out to them after the fact without creating any confusion.
Yeah, so like touching on again how we use follow-up posts, they actually also do the whole text thing that's embedded in the system. So like for example, when we do get a rental lead, like
Yep.
as soon as the rental lead comes in, a text goes right out, and the text doesn't say any name. It's basically just like, hey, thanks for inquiring. Can you send us a good email to reach you? This way we don't have to have the Zillow one and it become a dead lead. We don't say that, but like we ask for the
Oh, right.
email. And then, what time works best for you to chat. And then whoever that lead gets assigned to, they then reach out like, hi, this is, XYZ. But in the initial touch, it never says a name.
Okay. Yeah. A good strategy for the teams would be generic like that, or, hey, this is, thanks for signing up for the Philly Key team's open house this weekend. Here's a great video of the property so you can check out beforehand. That as soon as they reply, it could be a good idea to then route it to somebody. That way you can just, then get, once they're like a live lead, then you can get everything back on track.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely the route for sure. Because if it's like, hey, it's Ernest Key from the Philly Key team, and then Angel Pedrosa ends up working that opportunity, the client's going to be like, that's weird. Why was I passed off?
Yeah.
But if it's like, hey, here, this is from the team, and then, hey, I'm Andrew Pedrosa with the Philly Key team. I'd love to, speak more, answer any questions you have about the property, anything like that. It's just a more efficient way to do it. So maybe when you're building out the smart plans, your first one could be generic. And then maybe you have let's say they sign up on you're running the Facebook ad and it goes to Friday night and they sign up on Thursday, Sunday, or Saturday or Sunday morning, whatever morning of the open house, they get another text saying, hey, here's your reminder. And then obviously Monday, they then get hey, here's the actual video from the open house. A lot of people ask a lot of great questions. If you have any more questions, I'm happy to help you. My name is X. And, I'll be working with you going forward. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think from a team perspective, especially when you have if you're going to actually route the leads, then it makes sense to do it that way. But I like the ability to make sure you have a live person or a real number before you don't want to the worst thing you can do is give team members a lot of not great leads, because then they're going to be like, well, I don't want this lead anymore. It's going to slow their response time down to actually responding. It's just a psychological thing. But if you're almost pre-qualifying it and then saying, here, run with it, then you can route it. And again, once you route it, they'll get a notification too. I would definitely make sure everybody on the team has the Kelly app downloaded and notifications on, because that's how they're going to get it. And the thing, I was talking to a rep from Twilio because I was trying to figure this out for myself, but it does seem as though Twilio is working on getting it to where your Twilio number responses will be sent to your cell phone number.
Okay.
Kind of like Google Voice. If you have like Deidre has Google Voice, I think, right?
Yeah.
So, but it's on her phone, so it all goes to her cell phone, I think. But
yeah, it does. I have it too, and the same thing.
yeah,
Happens.
the end game for Twilio is to be the same way. So as you're using the smart plan, and that's a Twilio thing, not like a command thing. As you're using the smart plans, they're going to be, replying and going right onto your cell phone, which is a huge help.
So basically, Twilio is like the middleman, right? Like you connect
Yep.
command to Twilio and then connect Twilio to something else, and that's kind of like the link in between the two.
Yep. So Twilio is what gets people connected to you. It's what
Okay.
Twilio is really, if you look at it, if you don't plan on automating text, there's no reason to get Twilio. Twilio is
Okay.
only good if you want to automate texts.
Okay. So would you
But you
recommend
wanna automate
us
text-
not getting Twilio until we fully switch over to command? Because since we're using follow-up boss right now, that already has that embedded in the
doesn't-
system.
It doesn't cost you anything to use unless you're using it.
Okay.
So even if you signed up for it beforehand, that way you can almost you run them parallel a little bit. That way you can test out what works for you, what doesn't work for you in Twilio, and vice versa. It also will help you with the transition.
How much did you say it costs?
I don't know. I don't think having an account costs anything. Getting a local number costs $1 a month. And then I think texts are half a cent or something crazy, non-expensive per month. I don't remember seeing Twilio on a monthly thing on my Amex bill.
Okay.
Other things are, but so yeah, you can do it that way. But again, it is super helpful when it comes to setting up the auto stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing coming supposedly very soon into command are the auto triggers, and that's really what's going to allow a lot of people to be able to switch to the platform. But in the meantime, if you have follow-up boss or whatever, you can just PySync that stuff in. So then when a new lead, even if you did Google Sheets, and every time you get a new lead, you put it on Google Sheets or something kind of more old school. If you do a PySync connection to that, it'll still pull right into command. So then you can actually do something with it.
Okay.
But what's nice about command, especially if you have Twilio or whatever command mail set up in there, it tracks the entire conversation. So like you go in and I go to look at someone, I know exactly where we are in our conversation, what smart plans they've been on, which ones they've responded to, so stuff like that. So when, you know, Karen says you're doing the bi-weekly nurture or the neighborhood nurture, stuff like that, knowing what they're responding to will help you better communicate with them. So, you know, if you can go to a contact, you can go to whatever, and you can see, okay, they've replied to the neighborhood nurture email, keep them in the neighborhood nurture email. Or they replied to it now for the first time in 6 months. This is when they went on to the went on to the smart plan. This is the first time they responded. Then you know they're a little bit more engaged, and then could flip them to a bi-weekly or flip them to a weekly nurture, or just start a text campaign and say, hey, I noticed that you have been checking out, you know, the listings, so it'll show you the listings. I've noticed you've been checking these out. If you'd like any more information, I'm happy to help you. Thanks, my name's Devin. Right, so there's some, you know, there's some trial and error with that to see what works best for you and the team, obviously. But setting up at least the basic ones, like the open house one, new lead. So you guys have a website, obviously. Does your website generate leads, Dom? Or is it just a information
It has the
website?
ability to, but not really. Like it can, but it normally isn't. Like,
It can, but it doesn't.
yeah, pretty much. I mean, some every here and there, but like they're not ever like great leads.
Right. So that's another thing where it's like, if you have a website that isn't generating leads, I would recommend at least checking out the the command-backed website.
So do you like it? I don't really like it. Like I don't like.
I like it when you customize it.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know how I feel about it.
So there's two different schools of thought on the websites, and some just like anything. Like I think when we talk about command, or I talk about it, or anyone talks about, like, you have options. If you don't want to use it, don't use it. But there are a lot of like good things in there. Same thing with the website. If you don't want to use it, don't use it. But the thing to keep in mind with the website is they did a ton of research into what works, right? What search engines work, what doesn't. In real estate, what websites are the most impactful? And what they found was the Zillow style, Realtor.com style. They're the ones that Redfin. They're the ones that work. There's a reason for that, and it's that the consumer, especially ones you don't know, don't necessarily overly care about you as the agent, right? Like your hobbies, who you are, your background, your story. So, but they want to immediately, if they just wander onto your website, what they want to do is they want to search for stuff. So I don't know if you've seen, there's been a couple big updates to the websites recently within the past month or two that have made me like them a lot more. Featured listings is probably the most important one. So if you get that widget in, the featured listings widget, like the first thing is search, and then there's featured listings, and it's like a scroll bar.
Mhm.
So that's great, obviously, if, you know, for agents who have a lot of listings, so that they're right on there. The other thing that's good about those sites that you can do is they're actually more customizable than people think. Like you can add, like, you know, home value calculator or mortgage calculators, or, you know, your team blog, about us, why us. You can add all those things, and they just go to like the little drop down menu bar. The home screen is always going to be like the search screen. And again, that's by design. You know, you can edit the hero image and stuff like that, but ultimately, research has shown that consumers want to go on, they want to search.
Mhm.
The feature listings thing is really important, though. Now that's on there. Obviously, it's not the most complex or most, you know, it's not a $25,000 website that's going to do every little nook and cranny that you want to to do. But if you have a website that generates leads really well, PySync that website into command. So when a lead gets filled in, it goes right into your command platform. So you can still do smart planning, you can still do everything like that. If your website's outside of your current CRM, right? The other thing is the IDX piece of the command or the KW site is good because anybody who logs on, gives their information, it's tracking everything they're doing. So listings, they look just like they would on the app. Like it's tracking all that stuff. And then it's updating the contact in command. So if you're doing newsletters, emails, monthly neighborhood nurtures, text, whatever, Facebook ads, like that, your website should be on all those things. And basically use those tools to then get all your different, tech pieces talking to one another. Because the websites are essentially a browser version of the app in how they communicate with your command profile. But again, if you have a website that you have paid a lot of money to have created and it provides leads, then just do a sync and get those leads into command. Don't get rid of your website. If it's giving you an ROI, if you're paying to host a website that isn't netting you any return, then why not? It's a cost saving measure at that point. So again, things to think about. There's a couple people here. There's if you go to these people, and his is really long, but I think those two links. So those are two agents of ours who have taken some time to, build out a pretty nice looking website, the command websites. Check those out, and then you'll get a better feel for like what you can do. Because I think both of those are pretty nice. When you log in to command, like the first time you go to set up your website, I don't like them either because they're very generic. But you can add what you can add to it. And the other thing to keep in mind is anytime you need help with adding things or landing pages or anything like that, you can always ask or shoot an email to Scott Leroy Marketing. It doesn't cost any money for agents to use him. And if you're like, hey, Scott, this is Dom, can you please add, XXX widgets to my website? Here's the link and here's our password to get in. He'll just do it. Like that way it saves you a couple steps from having to do it. Same thing with contacts, same thing with like, all that stuff. The other piece, the last piece on the Facebook ad, smart plan, whole thing, is I strongly recommend setting up landing pages for listings. They take like a few, like 3 minutes to build because they're just widgets that you just drag and drop, and then you pick the website that you're on, or the listing that you want to show on the landing page. But you can also pull like neighborhood data and stuff like that, and another like sign-in form. So you do a Facebook ad, they click on the ad, they put their information in on the Facebook landing page, and I want to stress that the Facebook lead generation page is like the #1 most important thing for actually getting the lead info, because all the studies show that if you have to leave Facebook, you're less inclined to actually put your information in. So if you have a Facebook ad and you click learn more or sign up, whatever, and you click that, the first thing that'll pop up now is a Facebook lead gen form, name, email address, phone number, a note field, stuff like that. That pulls all the data in. Once they complete that and they click send, if you have it set up and you just you have to create the landing page and then put the URL in. If you have it set up appropriately, they'll finish that, and then the landing page for the listing will pop up. and the landing pages look pretty nice. And obviously, what they do in there, you see what they're doing on the back end of command. So it's just another thing to get them into your overall system. But with the targeting and with the lead gen form, stuff like that, the lead capture rate and cost is still really low. And it seems to be getting lower the more people use it instead of getting higher. So if you're looking to do like, what's like the one thing I can do in command today that will help me make money and actually get an ROI, it's the Facebook ads.
Yeah.
And like I've seen like the designs are really good. I know Jen, I've seen you guys use them, and other people too, but they take like, once you do like the first one and you find a template you like to keep your branding consistent and like your marketing consistent, you can just plug and play the address that's in there and the picture and, keep moving forward. You can do the same thing with the Facebook ads, to where like you could have a listing ad that runs for 10 days and an open house ad up at the same time. So you're generating kind of double duty. And what could be a good idea is to start the listing ads. Like if you're going to run an open house, and let's say you're going to, the only thing with the open house ads is that any internet ad, like this type of thing, Facebook or Instagram, social media, Google AdWords, it takes time for them to develop. So sometimes you don't decide you're going to do an open house on something till like Thursday. That's probably not enough time, unless you do a high spend on a per day basis, to get a really good return on the open house ad. So maybe what you could do is, Ernest gets a listing today. It goes up, whenever, tomorrow, and there's an open house on Sunday. You can do a lead gen ad just on the listing today, put that up. Anyone that is interested, you can direct them to the open. You can let them know there's an open house, a virtual open house, or a physical open house, when we're allowed to have those again. You can direct them to that link right from the initial ad. So you can have the two working in tandem. So then Thursday, or you create the open house ad and you're running both of them at the same time. It decreases your spend per ad and increases your ROI on each one. Because in order for you to get like a good 2 or 3 day turnaround time on Facebook ads, it's going to cost you like $10, $20 a day. And if you do that too often, that can add up pretty quick. But if you do like a 7-day one, it might cost you $3 a day or $4 a day to generate the same amount of leads. So that's the route that I would probably go on the open houses. So yeah, that's the route that I would take. Was any of this helpful?
Yeah.
Good. That was the whole thing. I wanted to have like a good open discussion with people. It would have been nice if I could just show you things, but that wasn't in the cards today.
Okay, I got the gist of it.
Yeah. And then we'll be doing a couple more of these things too, just like kind of like, I know they do them on Wednesdays, but sometimes not everybody can make a Wednesday at 12, so we're gonna like mix them up to time, stuff like that. But if you have any questions or anything, feel free to reach out.
All right.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Branden. We really appreciate you taking the time, and work navigating around the technical difficulties is always
gotta figure it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Karen, I know anyone who's on the call, I'm happy to do like one of these with like just the team too. I think Jen, we were emailing back and forth.
I keep offering to do one-on-one Zoom calls with my team to walk them through step by step, and I have one person. They're just waiting till they have to.
Yeah.
So the end of the week's going to be really interesting for me.
Me too.
Yeah. Yeah,
Me
definitely.
too. So, but keep that in mind. Like, I'm happy to come in and do one. If you can get one person together, you can get the whole team together. Doesn't matter. We can come on and we can be purposeful with it.
Cool.
All right, I'll keep that in mind, Brandon. You'll be hearing from me.
We'll
I
do.
might invite you to, I've been running a command specific training for Citywide.
Okay.
For the last 3 weeks. We have 2 more trainings, they're both at Thursdays at 2 p.m. One this week at the 2nd and next week on the 9th. My hope is that by the 9th, I will have watched enough information about DocuSign to be able to lead a training about it. Because that's the biggest hole in originally, we were planning for me to take over all the transaction management. But my team is still pretty attached to .loop, so it wasn't much of a point. And then I got into because I'm not totally sure what my schedule is going to look like next semester. I'm starting business school in August, but because we don't really know that yet, I'm sticking to doing marketing stuff. So really, like having like a second opinion on doing some of the advanced stuff in doing some more advanced stuff in command would be really helpful. If you have time this week, that's what I'm going to focus training 4 on, is like just how to do more like high level stuff, like importing from a listing into design, that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, I'm happy to help out.
cool.
The other thing is, so if you guys didn't see the email, Michelle Ellis, who's coming in to take over as the new MCA starting on the 6th.
Nice.
She is like very tapped into command, DocuSign, all of the above.
Perfect.
So she's been like huge. She's been actually huge on a lot of stuff behind the scenes for us in helping us figure out, make sure the custom docs are in DocuSign. Some of the teams have been working with her. She's been with KW for like 5 years already and is like super tapped into that. So she's like, between her and Joe Mandel for DocuSign specifically, like those are going to be your go-to people if you have any questions.
Cool. Yeah, I had Joe on last week. That was actually very helpful.
Yeah, he's been big on the compliance end. I will also say to potentially avoid as many interesting situations as you can this week, because it is a weird week with being short, and I know like Laura's away, so
And
I
it's
don't
a
know.
holiday
It's
week.
a holiday, end of the month, kind of like everything. Just create like 10 loops.
I did that the last time .loop was going away, so I've got them in there.
Nice.
Good. That's what I've been recommending to people who it's like you guys have all been on top of it on some level, like getting involved, figuring it out, and ready as well as you're going to be. But you'd be surprised or not surprised, depending on what you think, how many people like text
They
me
haven't
like,
even
"Hey,
logged
I
in.
haven't
They
even
haven't even logged
in,"
in yet.
I'm not surprised.
and I'm like, "Well, you're going to want to
Honestly.
create some loops, my friend."
Karen, or even all of you, the admin group that we've created on Facebook has been so monumental, because every time one of us hits a wall with something, just post it up there, and there's like a tight group of us that have been very involved in that, and we're all using it and helping each other back and forth. So it's almost like you get an instant response versus having to wait for help desk to come back to you. And those people that are using it every day are figuring out some workarounds that it might take the rest of us a while to figure out. So I find that utilizing that group has been really important. Definitely.
Yeah, it's been super helpful for sure. Definitely everybody's perspectives and, with everybody kind of chiming, it definitely has, a group like mastermind format. I was even thinking it might be, if we wanted to do this, it might be fun to like at the end of the year have like an admin, like not like sort of like not like maybe we have like some gift certificates or something, but just like send around like best newsletter on the team, like coolest like use of marketing, like I don't know, just like a little bit of like something like
Recognition. Some recognition.
Exactly.
I love that. Just like some fun things. You could even do like, you know, things like who has the most contacts in, or who's generate. Because I think our MCA is able to see a lot on the back end, like
Nice.
usage rates and stuff like that.
Uh,
Who has contacts in there? I wonder if they're able to see, like, we can even do like who generated the most leads or something. You know, like there's plenty of fun things you can do to get recognition up. I love it. All right, I gotta hop off here and get onto my next thing. I'm glad you guys were able to hop on. Again, keep in mind the invitation's open. I'm happy to come, yeah, you know, to one-on-ones or whatever. I'm available, so happy to help.
Thank
All
you.
right, thanks, Brandon. Appreciate it.
You got it, guys.
yeah, thank you so much, team.
Talk to you.
Bye.
Talk to you all soon.
Yeah,
Have a great day, everyone.
You too.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.